Hi, it's Steve from Arteria 3D. Thanks for joining me today, and we're going to be taking a look at the one base male character system. This character system provides a base male character attired from the outset just in underwear, and then you add clothing elements and armour elements atop this mesh to create your own customised character. Previously on Arteria, we've released kits for medieval, sci-fi, modern. With this kit, we unify the various styles into one kit. So for example, in this first release we have sci-fi and medieval. In future releases we'll include styles such as steampunk and modern day. This system really does allow to bring many varied hybrid styles to your game world. For example, you can have sci-fi, medieval, hybrid type characters which you know will appeal to many different users. Or you could simply stick to sci-fi or medieval. With this kit we provide over 180 animations such as swordplay, single and two-handed, pistol animations, two-handed gun animations, even horse riding animations, all contain this kit, as well as general NPC based animations. If you're using the Unity game engine, we also provide a special version of the kit which has a scene all set up whereby all the materials, all the shader maps, all the animations are already set up for you, making it easy for you to get started making your own customized characters. Simply within the scene start creating your character and then bring all the material files that have been included to make easy drag and drop onto the meshes to customize the character look. Right, let's take a next step on how we actually make our customized characters. As you can see, we've got our Unity engine open, and what we're going to show you now is how you would actually bring the character into the scene and then start to create the customized look. Now, even though I'm using Unity, this process will be the same in other game engines that feature a 3D editor. If we go into our main folder, which is Arteria 3D OBM, you'll find various folders: clothing, head elements, the material setup for Unity, shader maps containing normal maps, skin tones, weapon props, because we provide some weapons with the kit. If we look on the right hand side, we'll see Arteria 3D _OBM. This is our main model file which contains all the elements. Okay, so if we bring the model file into the scene, you can see that this mesh contains all the groups of the character, which contains all the armour, all the clothing and all the head elements. All we need to do to start actually creating our customised look is to select the character, and in the hierarchy, if we just begin by muting all the groups. This just makes it easier to actually start from scratch in designing our character. As you can see, a lot of groups. So now what we have is nothing in the scene, or no group showing. Now, we spoke earlier of the base male mesh actually being the underlying foundation of this kit, and that's what we're going to show first of all. Now, if we go into our hierarchy, you can see there's some files prefixed with OBM, and that simply means that's the base part of the system, the one base male. So for example, our OBM arms are the base arms of the character. Okay, so if we now actually go on to the other elements such as torso, then if we go down onto head and our legs, and also we want our hands mesh, so if we find our hands, there we go. Now what you'll see is that we have a hole where the nose should be and no ears, and that's another unique part of this kit because we actually provide 4 different types of noses, and we also provide 2 different ear styles. So if we actually allow this group, we've got our normal general ears. Notice at this point it's untextured because we need to bring the head material onto the ears. Because we provide 15 different head textures, it's good being able to have these separate parts, and then you can just drag the material file onto the 3 elements to unify the head texture. And then we also have our almost elven style ears. Okay, so if we actually go back and just set our standard ears, and then we actually what we want to do now is to actually show our nose. So there's the first nose, or we can mute that and have this style nose, and there's another 2 in there. Now this is our starting point. What we need to do now is to just unify our head textures. So if we go into the material files, you'll see we have a whole collection of materials, and here you'll see OBM head style A, head A, and that's, as I say, 15 head textures from A through to O, and all we do is choose one we like, drag that onto our head. So we've used head style D, bring that onto our nose and onto our ears, and that just unifies the head texture. Okay, let's do that again. Say we want a different style, say we want head G, bring the material G onto all the head elements. It's easy as that. So the first thing we need to do is to just play around with a few of the different costume styles to get our character going. At this point we could add some hair, and there's various hair meshes to go with the kit. For example, this style, and we also provide a number of different texture colours for the hair to provide various colour tones. You can have hair B, even this kind of style, which we've brought from our Sci-fi base kit. For now, let's keep the hair muted. So now if we actually click on play, what we've got is our base character in an idle position, and you can see all the textures all glued together nicely from the various elements. You'll notice at this point there's no feet. Now what we've included in this kit is a whole host of boots to actually go on the character. So we can add those in a little while. If we come out of play mode. Now if we look onto the left hand side again, you'll notice there are lots of different groups, and they're all in a very easy to follow order. So all the boots are all together. We then have costumes, which are meshes which encompass the whole of the mesh, our costume, specific style. The hair meshes, we helmets, leg armour, and so forth. And we simply enable one of these groups to actually start creating the look of our character. So if we want to start with a medieval style, if we go to costume, and if we actually click our costume throw over, I've called it a throw over because, as you can see, it's a type of costume that goes over the whole mesh. So straight away you can see we have some nice kind of reflective shader normal map elements already on the material, and as mentioned, if you're using Unity, this is all set up for you. So now what we could do is actually add maybe some armour. So if we go up to our armour section, armour, and we go down to leather, enable that. We've now got some leather armour, what we can actually do is enable our boots now. So let's go down to the leather armour boots, and there's also a separate section there too, which has got a transparent element for some fur. So let's enable that too. Now if we press play again, there we go, we've got our base character now in some leather armour. We could now apply some hair. So let's go up to our hair mesh and use hair mesh A. Now what we could do is to actually go a step further and add a beard. So let's go up to our beard sections, which come under the OBM over here, keeping everything together quite neat and nice. So if we highlight OBM head basic beard, you'll notice at the moment it's got no material. What we do is come down to our material section, and what we need to do is actually find our beards, and again this is in under our OBM category, and we have quite a number here, beard A to J. So let's stick on beard A and just pull it across, or we could have B, different styles. There we go, we'll stick with that one for the moment. We can actually go a stage further, and I don't think I'll put a moustache on this particular character, but I'll put some tattoos. We actually include some face tattoos. So let's go to our OBM category and click on head tattoos, and straight away we've got a nice interesting style tattoo on his face. We actually provide 15 tattoo styles with this kit, and we'll be introducing more in later versions. What we could do now is alter our base leg texture, and we can actually change that perhaps to some chainmail. So if we go into our materials folder again and actually go down to OBM legs, you'll notice we have the texture we're using already, which is the skin material, but we also have OBM legs chainmail. Simply drag that across, and now we've got some chainmail on our character. Now if you didn't want the leg look, what you could actually have is to change that for a trousers mesh. So we could hide that, and we could actually go down to our OBM trousers material section, but also remember on the left to actually turn the trouser mesh on, and simply if we drag one of our trouser materials onto the model, some slight differences of the same texture there. Let's settle for this eye one, which is a nice leather type look to go with our character. What I'd like to do now is to apply different animations to the character before we press play. And if we come into our main folder, and then on the right hand side we can see all our animations, and remember there are over 180 of these, and I want to change from idle to one of our walk animations. I'll grab this one, wizard walk holding staff. Okay, he hasn't got a staff, but still a good one to test. Now if we press play, you'll notice our character now walking in the scene with all the clothing elements all rigged nicely on the character and not cutting through any of the mesh pieces. To demonstrate further some of the different styles which go on this throw over torso mesh or costume mesh, if we go down to our materials and go to our throw over section, we could put throw over A on, which is a nice kind of cloth type style texture. For this one, what we can actually do is then apply a hood. So if we just mute his hair for a moment, and we actually find our hood mesh, which is here. Now at the moment it's got a different texture onto it, so what I want to do is to apply a texture similar to the cloth style. So let's go to our hood material, and you'll also see it, Hood A for throw over style A. This is throw over style A as the main costume, so we simply select that and put it onto our hood mesh. Just let's then mute that to see some of the other costume styles. Still in the materials folder. Go down to throw over. Style B, what we've just seen. Let's check out style D, which is quite a nice outfit. Or style E. And there's some other styles in the kit as well. So if we go back to style D for a moment, I just want to work with this for a section. So what I'd like to do now is just hide this armour. And if we come down to our boots and just hide those a moment. If we go to boots and highlight the boots Nordraic, and then we've got a transparent fur bit, which is always named at the end with TRS. If we enable that, and if we come down to our wrist armour Nordraic, we also have some arm armour for the Nordraic, but before that I want to give a slightly different style. Under our costumes we have a poncho, and if we enable that, see how quickly we can make unified, nicely customised characters. And if we press play now, you can see that again, all this animates nicely. Meshes aren't cutting through each other, they're all moving together nicely. Now what we could do is add one of our many helmets, and if we go up to our helmet section, and if we add the Nordraic helmet, and also if we just remove the poncho for the second, and if we apply the torso mesh armor piece for the Nordraic style, so let's go down to torso Nordraic. It's a nice kind of almost Viking style. And then if we go up to the armor section, let's select Nordraic again. If we come down to our legs, we also have some leg armor in Nordraic style. And there we go. What we can do now is to actually disable our throw over we had before. And there you go. In a few minutes we created a different character. Let's press play. Now what we could do is to apply one of the props provided to the character. So if we go into weapon props, and you'll see sword infiltrator. There are actually some more weapons supplied in the kit than you see on the screen. This particular kit was used for my demo purposes. If we grab sword infiltrator, which is more of a sci-fi kind of styled sword, and we bring it over, what we want to do is place the sword mesh in the hand of the character, and then we'll attach it to the hand bone so it moves with all the hand animations. So what we need to do is open up this BIP01, which is the rig, and all the bones of the rig are contained in here. If we go down, as you can see, into neck, right clavicle, until we find our hand bone. And what we need to do now is bring this mesh and just drag it onto the hand bone. Okay, if we press play, you'll now see that the sword actually moves with the character. What I'd like to do now is to add one of our sword-based animations to the character to demonstrate now he's got a sword in his hands. So if we actually go down to our two-handed sword animations, because we have single and two-handed sword, so let's find through that. So if we put THS charging, THS meaning two-handed sword, bring that onto our animation and press play, and now we have a nice charging animation with the sword in hand. Let's try one of our single based animations. Press play, and there we go, a single sword, handed sword animation. Nice. If you wanted to change the look of this design further, we could mute the armour, and for example put the elven armour on, or one of the other styles, plate armour, and so the list goes on of the customizations you can actually do to this character. You could then, for example, go to our wrist armour, and we could select Bounty Hunter, giving it a futuristic look. And this is where we'll go next. We'll go on to our kind of sci-fi style character that I'd like to make. So if we just mute this armour group, mute the helmet, and what I'd like to do, if we go down to helmets and we actually show our infiltrator helmet, and then we actually go down to our leg mesh and hide that and put our standard legs back on. At the moment they're in chainmail. What I'd like to do is, if we go to our materials folder again and we actually go down to our OBM legs, which is currently using this chainmail texture, remember to get it back to our standard legs. We simply grab the legs texture, but we also have a OBM legs infiltrator, and this is a texture set that goes with the infiltrator style character set in the kit. And what we could actually do is to create a further look with a cloak style on. So if we just hide our Nordrake torso and we go down to our torso style A. What this is, we have torso style A and torso style B. These are kind of baggy clothing elements to go on top of the chest area. When doing this, you can obviously mute the arms and the chest because it's basically a new torso set to go on. So let's do that now. So if we actually enable our torso style with A, now what this is basically the two versions of the mesh. The with armor provides the baggy clothing torso style with the creased mesh area around where the wrists are and slightly on the arms. And this allows you then to put the armor pieces atop of this particular kind of mesh without the clothing mesh from underneath actually popping through. So there's that version, and then we have the torso style without armor, whereby it's more puffed up around the sleeve wrist area and the arm area. It's got no texture on at the moment, but if we go down to our material tab, we'd see our torso style A, and we've got a few textures in there. Noble, so if we could put that across, more a medieval style. Fief, looks quite nice. Templar, and this is what I want to do, a futuristic Templar style character. if we now go down to these leg arm sections, if we just mute those for the moment, and I want to bring down what we call the lower cloak area, and this has the bottom section of the Templar mesh. If we enable that, so we have our futuristic style. If we just hide our medieval boots, and we come up and we go into Boots Infiltrator, or futuristic style. Then we can add some armour. In fact, before doing it, let's add a cloak. So if we go up to cloak, add our cloak. And what we can do now in Unity is to add some physics to that, to just give it a little bit more of a cloth look to the mesh. So if we go up to component, physics, skinned cloth, and just 2 settings at the moment I play with, turn gravity off and turn self collision on. What I'd like to do on the hands is actually to put our infiltrator arm texture onto that. So in materials, if we go onto OBM arms, and you'll see infiltrator, bring that across. So now we've got a gloved leather look. And now if we press play, we've actually got the character with the sword based animation. And then what we could do is to add a further torso piece, so torso armor battle tech. And this gives a nice torso piece to the model. And again, if we press play, you'll notice that none of the cloth from underneath cuts through. What we could do now is to change our helmet to another design. So if we mute that, and if we actually go down to our helmet Templar for the more traditional medieval style, we could make it even more futuristic. So if we hide this group here, and just let's hide our mesh underneath and bring back our main torso section of the model along with the arms. And if we go down to materials and we go down and bring our infiltrator texture across onto the arms, go down to our OBM torso and infiltrator onto the chest piece, then we have a new design again. And then if we go down to our torso armor assault force, a nice chest piece, and we can go to our arm armor and initialize the shoulder armor. Press play. There you go, a nice hybrid sci-fi medieval character. And we also provide tinted versions of this mesh in different colorization styles. So for example, we have a black one which would fit more with the Templar style. We could carry on with the Assault Force armor style, and what we could do is to hide the lower cloak. And then if we go to leg armor, Assault Force, this gives some armor elements to the legs, and then mute our infiltrator boots and put our Assault Force boots on. Now what we could do is to actually hide our sword and bring our two-handed gun into the scene. So if we go into weapon props, assault gun, we actually place this in the hand of the character. Looks a little fiddly to do, but it's actually quite easy. Sometimes it's best to place it into place and then just to actually play the scene, just to make sure it's in the right place. But what we first must do is place this on the hand bone of our character. So if we go up to, our hand bone, which is already here. I'll simply drag the gun across, put it on our hand. And what we need to do now is add a different animation to test this out. So if we go into the main folder and go down to our animations for our two-handed gun, and I think we'll have two-handed gun walking. So if we first select the character, so many animations. Two-handed gun, there we go. Bring that across, and now if we press play, and there you go, we have the gun in the hands of our character. Wow, that does look good. So at this point we can wrap up this video. It's give a brief introduction to how easy it is to actually make a character, to add different elements, to add animations, weapons and so forth. And we've gone from starting with the medieval characters to sci-fi, bit of a sci-fi hybrid look with the medieval, and then to a sci-fi look at the end of the video, although we did keep the Templar helmet on. So I hope you're going to enjoy using the kit, and we're going to bring out so many expansions for this kit, so please stay tuned. Thanks for joining me today. Take care.